Am I the a-hole for siding with my mom over my dad and stepmom? After mom published the obituary my sister wrote that didn't mention our stepmom, step or half siblings. My sister died last week. She was 19. She'd been sick for over 4 years and knew it was terminal for the last 11 months. She planned most of her funeral months ago and wrote her obituary herself. She told me and mom she wanted that to be what was published and for us to stick to her funeral plans. She said she didn't want anything fake or not her. Our dad wasn't a part of this. My sister wasn't close to him since he remarried 6 years ago, and she'd lived with mom full-time when she got sick. Dad still saw her, but their relationship wasn't good. She hadn't seen our stepmom in over 3 years, nor our step-siblings, who are our stepmom's kids from before she married dad, or our half-siblings from dad and stepmom. In her obituary, she didn't mention them, just mom, dad, me, our grandparents, our aunts and uncle, and a few cousins. That's the obituary we published, and my dad and stepmom were furious. They told mom she should have added to it when she knew my sister had left them out. Dad tried to order her to submit a change, but mom said no. Dad tried to do it himself, but he was told he'd need to publish a different one. Dad wanted me to convince mom, but I stood with her in saying no. My sister didn't want them mentioned, and it was her obituary. She wrote what was published, and I feel like that was the right thing to do. I don't think my mom did anything wrong. The funeral was incredibly awkward because of the tension. My sister hadn't wanted our stepmom, step-siblings, her half-siblings to be seated with a family. In the end, my stepmom and her kids stayed home, and dad sat with me and mom at the service. When it was over, my sister's best friend gave each of us a letter from her. The timing was, again, what my sister had wanted. My dad's letter set him off even more, and he was angry at mom and then at me for taking her side over theirs. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Y'all are just following your sister's last wishes. Your dad can kick rocks. Whatever the reasons for their rocky relationship, it's far too late for him to be trying to play happy family now. Yeah, he sounds super selfish. My brother-in-law just died really suddenly and tragically. The funeral is in 3 days, and my mother, who didn't know him well, is milking the tragedy on Facebook. It's gross. So I see where you're coming from, Opie, but not the a-hole. Your father is being selfish and disrespecting your sister's last wishes. He can buzz right off. I cut off one of my brothers for this kind of behavior. The girl who had a crush on him since we were kids, we're in our 50s now, and took care of him after his foot surgery, whom he refused to date, died. He went all over Facebook acting like he lost his girlfriend of so many years. Boo-hoo. I called him out on it, then blocked him, and I haven't spoken to him in almost 2 years. I am so proud that your mom did what your sister wanted. I did what my mother wanted. She didn't want a service, so she didn't have one, and I dealt with the backlash. But I'm proud of you and your mom. Same. I wish she hadn't needed to. I wish we could have saved my sister. She told me last night that she honored the wishes of her first baby, and it felt like the least she could do, since she couldn't give her a longer life. My mom's really struggling with my sister's death. We both are. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope that you can grieve together, and hopefully, it gets a little easier as time goes on. Grief is always there though. When you're ready, it might help to find a therapist for both of you. Please also know that you didn't do anything wrong by honoring her wishes. Your dad is also grieving in his own way, which might involve some guilt. His current wife just sounds like a see you next Tuesday. I think planning her funeral and obituary likely brought some comfort to your sister. So by following her wishes, you have all respected and completed the grieving process she began for her life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to play happy family with my former bully, who is now my dad's fiancé? I, 24 female, had a rough time in middle and high school because of a girl named Sophie, 28 female. She wasn't just casually mean, she made my life miserable for years. She spread rumors about me, made fun of my appearance, and turned people against me. I developed severe anxiety, and it took years of therapy to rebuild my confidence. Fast forward to last year, my dad, 51 male, told me he was dating someone serious and wanted me to meet her. I showed up to dinner and my stomach dropped. It was Sophie. At first, I thought she didn't recognize me, but then she smiled awkwardly and said, "Wow, long time no see." Later that night, my dad asked why I was so quiet. When I told him what Sophie had done to me growing up, he was shocked. He said she had never mentioned knowing me. When he brought it up to her, she texted me a short, "Hey, I'm sorry if I was ever mean to you. I was young and stupid." That was it. I told my dad I wanted nothing to do with her. He said people change and that I should give her a chance. I refused, so he stopped bringing her around when I visited. That was fine until last month when he announced they were engaged. Now he's pushing me to come to the wedding, saying I need to move on and not hold a grudge over childhood drama. Sophie hasn't tried to have a real conversation with me. She acts like nothing ever happened, which makes it so much worse. My dad thinks I should be able to let go since it was years ago. But to me, being bullied isn't just something you get over because enough time has passed. Some of my family agrees with me, but others say I'm being petty and should at least try to be civil for my dad's sake. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to accept her as family? Oh, hell no. I'd be going no contact with your dad. I can't believe he even continued to date her after you informed him she was your bully. Not the a-hole. I'd write a detailed list of everything, and I mean everything she did to you. I'd then send that list to all your family members with a copy of the half-assed apology. I'd then say that ultimately you're not prepared to accept her in your life, and frankly, if anyone keeps pushing you, I'd reiterate you'll go low contact. Then arrange a separate meeting with your dad alone, and go through everything and confirm he is picking her over you. And that's fine, but he has to accept the consequences of that. Clearly getting his junk wet is more important than his daughter. I love this approach. You need to write a letter spelling out for your dad and your family the horrible abuse this woman put you through and how this has affected you. I'd also be questioning why a 51-year-old is marrying a 28-year-old. Yep, if Sophie won't talk to you, she hasn't told him the extent of the bullying. Write it all down in detail. Make him confront the severity. If he still won't take it seriously, and that isn't something you can tolerate, you have your answer. Not the a-hole. Your dad's pathetic for this, and being with a woman just a few years older than you. Dude, maybe make nice and at the wedding, give a speech and say the things she did and how she just swept it under the rug. Honestly, the fact that she bullied Opie and now wants to play stepmom is already insane. But the dad marrying someone barely older than his own kid? That's next level cringe. Dating someone who literally went to school with your kid is beyond cringe, it's actually disgusting. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmom and dad stop having so many kids? I, female 17, lost my mom when I was 10. Almost immediately after, my dad started dating Christina and married her 6 months later. She was divorced and had 2 boys, who are 1 and 2 years younger than me. They still fight nonstop all the time. Christina wanted a big family, and my dad would never say no to her. She got pregnant with their first baby almost immediately. She made us kids wear shirts that said, "Our family is growing by 2 feet," and forced us to take pictures. It was so uncomfortable since her sons were fighting, and I didn't even want to be there. But she didn't care. She just wanted a picture for her Facebook. When my half-brother was 9 months old, she got pregnant again. This time, she made us hold a sign that said, "Baby X is due on X." I was about to cry. I was already babysitting the kids and doing so much, and now there was going to be another one. But she kept broadcasting how we were such a cute, blended family and a model family. When my half-sister was 1.5 years old, she got pregnant again, this time with twins. And of course, it came with all the announcements, gender reveals, and anything else she could post for Facebook likes. Meanwhile, I was on full-time babysitting duty and hating every minute of it. Currently, our house is a mess. Her boys are constantly fighting. I have to cook and help take care of my half-siblings, and my dad works full-time. Then today she told us, guess what? Our family's growing. I'm pregnant. My dad kissed her. My half-siblings were happy, and her boys didn't care. I, however, got upset. She saw me and said, "What's your problem?" I told her, "Considering it means more work for me, I'm upset. How many more half-siblings are you going to pop out until you get your 1 million likes? I'm so sick of this." She called me a rude brat, and my dad told me I was grounded for insulting her. Last year, I wanted to move in with my grandparents on my mom's side, but Christina screamed and cried to my dad saying, "She can't go. We're family, and we help each other." Am I the a-hole for insulting my stepmom? At this point, I'm determined to leave for my grandparents as soon as I turn 18. I have no friends, no extracurriculars, and no social life because I'm stuck at home helping with her babies. Honestly, I'm not even sure what I'm losing by being grounded. Now for the comments. Don't forget to discreetly gather your important documents before leaving. Birth certificate, social security papers, ID. There are probably lists online of what you need in your country. And any money you can come up with. Call your grandparents now. At 17, you may be able to go to them. Also, if dad is collecting social security for you, make sure to have your grandparents get the benefits. Those are benefits that go to you from your mother. They are yours. You are being parentified. Get to your grandparents today. Not wrong. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother it's not my fault he lost his kids? My brother has been ranting to everyone in the family because he lost his kids. I understand it's hard for him, but he doesn't get to blame anyone but himself. Here's a little backstory. My brother has 2 kids with his wife, Kristen. They've been together since high school and had a beautiful family until they didn't. I don't talk to my brother at all, nor do I talk to Kristen. My brother and Kristen started using drugs, and being around the kids made everything worse. My brother was an addict years ago, but he went to rehab and got clean. It was shocking to hear that he had gotten back into it. As much as I helped him the first time, things just seemed to repeat themselves. Remember when I said I don't talk to my brother? Yeah, no one knew that he and Kristen were using, because he stopped coming around and stopped calling us. We didn't know what was going on in his life until we heard what happened. A teacher contacted CPS because of something my nephew told them. I was furious with my brother. Kids were taken out of their parents' custody and now live with Kristen's mom in New York. It's a shame that my brother turned his life around, just to fall back into the same cycle I had once helped him escape. I wanted nothing to do with him because he put his kids in danger, and so did Kristen. He refuses to accept that he is the only one to blame. He told me I needed to help him get the kids back, and I told him no, because they wouldn't be safe with him. But he told me I was acting like an a-hole and should just help him. I told him the hard truth. It's not my fault he lost them. Do not do anything to help him. Keeping the children safe is what matters. They're far better off away from drug-addicted parents. Exactly. The kid's safety comes first, no question. He did this to himself, and now he wants everyone else to fix it? Nah, not my problem. I'm not gonna help him bring them back to that mess. They deserve better. Not the a-hole. I have quite a few addicts in my family, and some have since died or disappeared. I've grown a thick shell/skin now. At first, I gave them a chance to let me in and help. Once it was clear they weren't ready for it, I walked away. Now my policy is, you don't get to know where I live, my number, social media, kids, etc. until I see proof of at least 1 year clean and a healthy mindset. I've been called heartless and cold for it, but truth be told, it's the best thing you can do for an addict. They need to hit rock bottom, truly feel like no one is there, and then grow that desire to change and overcome. If they can't find that will or desire within themselves, then all you end up doing is enabling them. When kids are involved, you need to make those walls even stronger. You will become the shield for those kids. Be their teacher and safe place. Be the closest thing they have to the parent they've basically lost. My husband has serious mental health issues and went undiagnosed for years. He turned to drugs at 14. By his mid-20s, he was no longer allowed at his folks' place due to stealing from them. Over the years after he got sober, he turned his relationship with his parents around. He was so close with his dad for the last 25 years. It broke him when he died. But they had to make hard choices, and it was what he needed. Last story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a restaurant after my sister kept making rude remarks and trying to speak on my behalf? My sister, 24 female, and I, 26 female, never really had the best relationship growing up. I've always tried to keep it civil, but she wouldn't, and has always been rude to me. She would try to speak on my behalf as if she were my lawyer. To make things relevant, I'm on the spectrum. She would constantly convince me to say no whenever others asked me a question, tell me to shut up whenever I talked to my friends or anyone who wanted to have a conversation with me, or shake her head no, either because she disapproved of something or simply wanted me to shut the heck up. This past weekend, my parents asked me and my sister to meet them at a restaurant for dinner since we hadn't seen each other in weeks, and they wanted to treat us. We met at the restaurant, and everything went well until it was time to order. I'm not much of an eater, so I wanted to order some appetizers. But my parents encouraged me to get an entree so I could have food to take home if I didn't finish. I considered it, but then I saw my sister shaking her head. I asked her what her issue was, and she said that she knew I didn't need the entree and therefore I shouldn't waste money or food. My parents told her that wasn't her concern and that I could order for myself. I ordered the entree I liked, and when our food came, my sister was glaring at me the entire time. I finished my food, so I didn't even need to take leftovers home since there were none. Lol. When asked if we wanted dessert, my dad asked if I wanted some. I said I was full, but my dad said he'd like me to take something home, so I ordered a cheesecake. That was when my sister snapped. She called me a spoiled brat for wasting food and our father's money and asked why the heck I needed dessert. My dad told my sister to calm down and said she could get dessert too. My sister got even angrier and called me names like fat pig. I'm around 115 pounds, so not even close. Yes, woman, whatever the heck that means, and said I was wasting money. I make my own money, so I don't know what her issue was. I didn't want to be around her, so I got up and left. My parents begged me to stay since we had planned to get coffee somewhere else afterward, but I declined. I couldn't stay if my sister was going to continue acting that way. I even changed my mind about dessert. When I got home, I got a couple of calls from my parents apologizing on my sister's behalf. My mom said I shouldn't have walked out and let my sister get the better of me. She tends to defend my sister a lot, so I told her she needed to wake up and understand that my sister has always tried to control me for reasons I can't understand. Am I the a-hole for walking out? Not the a-hole. Stop attending events if your sister is invited. She's evil, and you don't deserve a devil ruining your day. The next time your parents invite you to dinner, tell them that you'd love to have a meal with the two of them, but you are taking a break from your sister. Tell them she has unknown mental health issues that make her obsessed with you and you need a break from it. Tell them that you hope the break gives her time to get a life and quit worrying about yours. Exactly. Also tell your mom that she didn't get the better of you. You didn't blow up on her or give in to her like she wanted. You removed yourself from a situation you didn't want to be in. Nice, calm, and in control. Suck on that, lil sis. The only way OP is in the wrong is letting this go on for so long. Her sister sounds like a piece of work. Not the a-hole. You were sensible enough to walk out before things got way out of hand. The good thing here is that you know how to handle your sister. Next time she does that, just make a sarcastic comment and move on. Or better yet, give her a taste of her own medicine. Next time, also give your mom a taste of her own medicine by telling her to stand up to every insult that comes out of your dad's or sister's mouth toward her and see how she handles it. Doesn't sound like he did. Sister kept running her mouth and dad never told her to SDFU.